Hi, welcome to Moodle Training. This is the newest version of the long-term service branch of Moodle 4.5, rolling out in the fall of 2025 and will be used for the next 3 school years as a minimum, as long as the long-term service branch is being supported. This is what it looks like. You'll log on with your school username and password on the right-hand side. And once you get logged in, it should show in the top the unhidden or viewable courses that you're either a teacher or a student of. Any ones that are hidden will show up down here lower on the course. I don't have that blocked because I'm an administrator, but if you have any hidden courses, they would show up down there. We're going to use this Moodle training class, which is an empty class for our training. It is what a blank class looks like when it's first added. Navigation in this version of Moodle is all on the left-hand side. Any blocks that we add will be on the right-hand side. And if you've got an existing Moodle class already and you had blocks added, they'll all be pushed over to the right-hand side. And you may want to think about which ones you want to make viewable. Okay, let's get to it. First of all, we're going to go over the Moodle resources. Moodle resources are those things that you can view, but not those things that you can play with as far as activities. They can't be added to the gradebook. Resources are just that, things to view and see. So we're going to work in this first section here, and I'm going to go ahead and name it by turning editing on with the slider button on here. And anytime we name a section, the name will automatically show up over here. So I'm just going to go over here and call it resources. And I have to hit the enter key for the name to be taken. If I hit any other key, it won't be taken. As soon as I hit the enter key, you now see resources is over here, and I'm in the resources block. Now we go to work in a specific area just by clicking on the name or the title of that section on the left-hand side, and you can see everything else goes away. Now, to add an activity or resource, I just click right here on add an activity or resource. If I wanted to see what all those things are, those are the basic level 1 items that we're going to go over in the level 1 training today. As we level up as a teacher through the Moodle training, more activities and more resources will become available to you. We just made this training so that only a few of them would be available in the beginning to not overwhelm you. So these are the 4 things that we're going to be looking at today. The first of which is the text and media area. So text and media area is used for, and as a note, it used to be called a label. So if you ever hear me fall back onto the word label, it's because it was called label for 20 years. Now it's called the text and media area. The text and media area is to put text or media in the core middle part of your course. This is used sparingly because it's easy to fill up and inundate your course with too much use of text and media area, but it's great for making a course look very standardized for you across the different sections of your course. So if I hit text and media area, it asks for a title. And if you see this asterisk in red, it means that is required. You will never see the title. So I'm going to type the word welcome in there. And then I'm going to put the information. There we go. Spell it right. And then I'm going to put the information I want to be seen in this text and media area block. Now, any area that we have HTML editing access looks basically the same. It looks like this, and you'll see this block over and over again. I don't like the way it shows up. I like to see it full screen. So this last button that looks like a square there puts it in full screen mode, and now it looks more like I'm kind of using Word or any kind of online editor with all my buttons across the top. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so those buttons look a little bit bigger, so it makes a little more sense as I'm using those buttons so you can see what I'm doing. And by the way, I zoom in by holding down the control key and using my scroll on my mouse to zoom in and out of the web page. Now, every web page is zoomed in right now if I were to go to somewhere else. So I use it sparingly, but I like to be able to see what I'm working with, so I frequently zoom in. The buttons are fairly normal. If I want to change my text with this big T, I can change the text sizes. The F is for a very limited amount of fonts that you can use. I can add more fonts, but there's no reason to have too many. But if there's somebody who's like, I really need this font, I can try to add that on Moodle as well. We can highlight things or change our text color. We can change our highlighting. We can different indents, bold, italics, underline. I think you can get used to those fairly easily. There are a couple things on here that maybe aren't normal. You can see this looks like a picture, and it's to import pictures. We can do the same thing with videos. We can add audio that we record. There's the video button right there. But basically, I can do anything in this text area, and then it shows up inside my Moodle class. So I'm just going to add some text and a picture here. So I've added some text, and I can add a picture just by clicking the picture button. And when I do that, I can choose a picture from another URL, another website if I want to, or I can browse and upload a picture here, or I can cut and paste directly into it. For instance, by using a URL, if I'm making a section on mountain climbing, I could go and get a cool mountain climbing picture of someone doing some mountain climbing, and I can go and open that in a new tab. And now I've got a picture of just, oh, I didn't quite do that, open image in new tab. There we go. So now I've got the image here, and I've got the address of that image. So I could just take that address over here and toss that right in there. Now you see right underneath here, it says, describes this image for someone who cannot see. I could put mountain climber. Well, I could say this image is for decoration only, in which case there'll be no overlay for someone who was visually impaired. And then I can just say, I'm going to add this picture the way it is, or this is huge. I'm going to go and make it much smaller. I'm going to make it 300 pixels wide. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the bottom here. And because I've zoomed in, I can't see the button that says save image. So now I've got that mountain climber in there. If I wanted to add something for my students that they would listen to, I can add audio files as well. And I can record a file if I want to. I can just hit that mic and say, welcome to Mountain Climbing 101. We enjoy having you in our new class. And I can listen to it. Welcome to Mountain Climbing 101. And if I like it, I can attach the recording there on the file. That's what a label looks like. It's something that I'm going to put in the middle of my class that's going to show up. And obviously this picture is large. Maybe it's a poor choice. I'm going to go ahead and hit the box so it shrinks down. And I'm going to hit save and return to course. And now this label is right in the middle of my class. I'm going to zoom back out by hitting Control-0, and I go back to my normal zoom. And that's what that looks like in that class. I can go back in and change it by editing it. Maybe I wanted all of this to be centered on my page, which I obviously would want. And now I've got that centered up in the front of this. Now, I don't put pictures in my website that are that big. I do put audio files in there. Any student can then play that if they want to nearly up. Welcoming them to the class. Or what I really use labels for is to set up a standardized view of what my class is going to look like. And I'll show you what I mean by that by going to my regular Moodle class. So here we are in my regular Moodle class, and I'll show you the small thing I use labels for. If we look down here, we can see I've got the chapter introduction, the chapter activities. That is a label with a line, And if I zoom in a little bit, you can see it a little bit better. That's too zoomed in. And then I've got my skirmishes and fights down here and my intervention activities. If I go to any one of the sections of my class, I have the same chapter reading, same chapter activities, same skirmishes and fights, and everything is laid out very much the same even though the content is obviously different, I'm using labels. And you can say I do have a very small picture up top here introducing the topic. But I use very small labels, just text inside my site to standardize my course and to break out those activities that the students, or those, in this case, these are my resources and these are my activities that we're doing in the class, to make all the course sections look very much the same across the course, making standardized so my students understand where they are at any particular time in the course. So that is the label. Okay, the next kind of activity we're going to look at, and I'm going to get there again by turning editing on and clicking add an activity or resource. And I'm going to look at the resources, and those the resources are the items that I have also starred. Is the page. A page is just that. It's the creation of a page that students will click on to get more content. So you can see that in this case, the name is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say intro to Orman. And in this case, the students are going to see this, and this is what they're going to click on in order to come to the content that you add right here. Now, again, this content can be anything that you want to, as far as text, media, audio, video, anything you want to put in there. I'm going to, again, go up and go full screen again, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see the buttons a little better. I'm going to add some text here on the introduction to mountain climbing. Now, if you ever used ChatGPT before, I've already told ChatGPT that I teach high school and that I teach grades 9 through 12. That's in the setup of my profile up here in ChatGPT. So when I asked for an introduction to a mountain climbing course, it went and said, oh, hey, you're the teacher. You teach this grade level, and I'm going to go ahead and write this for you. So I wrote this introduction to a mountain climbing course. I'm going to go ahead and hit the copy button down here. And I'm going to go to Moodle, and I'm going to paste that right there in the middle. So I've just made a introduction to mountain climbing 101 using ChatGPT. And I highly recommend you start thinking about using AI to do some of your stuff for you. I know this is a little aside, and we're going to do a whole master's class on AI, but the fact of the matter is we can use AI to streamline tons of processes for us, of which I can't even name all the things that we would streamline. We do have to edit, and we have to really make sure that it's correct, because we are using artificial intelligence to design things for us, but that's an example. Now, I wanted to point out, this is just cutting and pasting text and pictures in there, which you can do if you have anything that you want to add as far as video. When we add video, we don't upload video into Moodle. We upload video into YouTube or into a Google Drive and then embed it into Moodle. And we do it that way because it saves space on our server, and it makes it so students can watch that video from any device, anywhere, as opposed to only certain kind of devices that would be able to read videos that we upload into Moodle. If I had a video that I wanted to incorporate, all I have to do is put the URL for the video into Moodle in order to incorporate that into the text box. Okay, so I've found this video, Basic Skills for Mountain Climbing, and we're going to say I want to incorporate that into my Moodle class. All I have to do is copy this address right here, and I toss it in my page, and Moodle is smart enough to know how to embed that. So I'm going to go ahead and go shrink it down, and I'm going to go down here and say Save and Display, and I'm going to go to my normal width on my page. And you can see now that it has this page, embedded YouTube video, and all the text that I've put there that I want my students to go to. So what they see now is they see a link, they click on the link, and it goes to the page I just made. So that's a Moodle page, can include text, video, audio, other external links, and it's one of the items that we really use a lot of is the Moodle page. Okay, the next Moodle resource we're going to go over is the Moodle URL. So I'm going to go ahead and click on there, and that is the icon. It is a link. So a Moodle URL is just a link to an outside source that we want students to go to. I'll be honest, I use this almost never. And for the reason of I usually use a page and have links inside the text that go to a URL, which I can link any text to go anywhere else if I want to. Very seldom do I just send students to a web page. But I do occasionally, for instance, on an outside link that maybe is a calculator or something else that I want them to read. So works exactly the same. I have a name block. That's what they're going to see. So maybe there's an outside site on mountain climbing clubs. And then I put in the external URL. So I'm going to go ahead and find one. So I found this mountain climbing center in Dayton, Ohio that I want students to be able to go and take a look at. So I just take that URL. I toss it in here. I can add a description, but there's no asterisk there. I don't have to. The last thing on a URL that I really think is important is the appearance. How do I want it to show? And here's the options I have. Automatic means Moodle's just going to decide, do I want it to be embedded in my Moodle site? Do I want it to just open it? Or do I want it to be a pop-up? I will tell you that I always like to go here and go embed. If it works, I prefer that option. So I'm going to hit save and display, and we'll see if it worked or not. You can see, there we go. It opened up, and that website is inside my site. So if I want my students to go there, but I don't want them to leave the Moodle site, I can embed it. The other options were in appearance to just open it or to open in a pop-up. Will tell you almost never do I choose open, and here's why. If I choose open and my students are down here and they click on link to a website, they've just left my Moodle page. Now they have to navigate back to my Moodle page once they're done looking at this. So I prefer to either embed, and by the way, I can hit the three dots here and go to edit settings to change this, or I choose in a pop-up. And if I choose in a pop-up, I'm going to save and return to course. Then if they click on it, it just opens it up and they can go and look at that page. And then when they're done looking at it, they can close it. So I do one of those. So we've got the Moodle label. We've got the Moodle page. We've got the Moodle link. The last we're going to look at today is a Moodle file. Now, I don't do what I'm about to show you at all. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and close it. Go back here. We'll look at it in a second, but the easiest way to put a file on Moodle is to not use that and choose to do a file. The easiest way to put a file on Moodle is if we're in edit mode and our editing is on, I can open up Windows Explorer and I can drag anything right onto my page and it will just embed it there. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the NTEA contract because I happen to have been looking at it. I can drag it right here on the page. You see how the pop-up opens? And I let it go, and now that's there. I'm still going to go to those settings, and I'll show you why in a second, because here's the thing. It works very much like a link. When I drop a file, it gave it the exact same name of the files that I dropped there. You can see it's a PDF. If I click on it, I'm no longer in the Moodle site. And I can make the same kind of changes to this file that I did to the URL link. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to Edit Settings. And I can change the name up here if I want to after I've dropped the file, because it may not be the file name you want. Here's the file that's going to be open. And I'm going to go to Appearance. And it has the same things that I could have done on the other one. Then it goes embed, although it added force download, you can see, open or pop up. Again, I'm going to try embed first. I'm going to save and display and say, does it embed well? If I have a PDF file, is that the way that's easiest for my students to look at the file. Sure, they still have the option of hitting the download button here if they want to download it on their device, but that works out pretty well. If I want to go to settings, I could do the same thing. I could force it to be downloaded. For instance, my syllabus I post as a file and I force it to be downloaded. I want them to have it on their computer so they can refer to it whether they're online or not. And I have the option of open and in pop-up. Again, I don't choose open. I always choose pop-up or embed as my options there. And that's about it. Those are our Moodle resources right there. Quick and easy. Those are the main ones that we use. We use labels all the time to differentiate and standardize our course. I also use them on sub-day activities to make sure they can't miss what they're supposed to be doing that day. They'll still miss it. And then we've got the page, the URL or the link, and the file. You can see they have different icons on the side based on which one that we use. And that's it for Moodle resources.